get started at 7 o'clock. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Commissioner Ramos.
Thank you, sir. Again, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's taking the time to come out here this evening. This is the time to, if you have any concerns or questions, we definitely have here our experts in the city that will be able to answer those questions. And again, thank you for being part of the solution. Thank you.
So this is the second part. My name is Sean O'Grady. The city of Deltona brought me on board to look at different areas within the city, and I started with code enforcement and animal control. And this is the second part of our series of the enforcement services, code enforcement, and we're gonna, the first part was code enforcement, now we're doing animal control, and we'll also discuss the TNR program. We're going to go over a brief slideshow, and then we'll open it up for questions. And I ask that you keep your questions at the 10,000 foot level, subject pointed. We don't want to get into my neighbor at 123 Main Lane has these dogs that bark all night. You can come to us after, and we will handle that. We'll take the address, and then we'll just file it as a complaint and respond out and take appropriate action. But animal control, main thing we look for is compliance. The mission of the Enforcement Services Division is the safety and welfare of the residents and animals. So who are the animal control officers? They're employees of the city. They're your employees. You pay the taxes, they work for you. Their main job, their main focus is enforcing the statutes, the codes, and the ordinances as enacted by your legislators, as well as your city commissioners. These are certified professionals. Every animal control officer we have is certified through the state of Florida. We have a couple who are nationally certified, and we have several that have specific certifications. They went to extra courses to be able to investigate animal cruelty, and a couple other things that I know Richard will go over later, the certifications of them. And that is my part there. I'll bring up Mark Gibson here to go over the history.
Good evening. My name is Officer Gibson. I was employed with the city of Deltona in 1998. I started out as a permit clerk. Since I've been with the city going on 23 years. And I'm now one of the current 2 supervisors of animal control. So what I'm going to try to do here today is give you a little brief history of our animal control. As most of us know, we incorporated as a city in December of 1995. At the time, the residents decided that they wanted a higher level of service provided. So the city decided it was going to establish its own animal control unit in 1997. Now, by using best practices, the city decided, well, we might as well kill 2 birds with 2 stones, no pun intended, that animal control and code enforcement would be combined in 2004. And as you can see, in 1997, we had a population of 57,000. So what we got here is a little brief chart of our staffing history. You can see, like I said, in 1997, we only had 2 animal control officers for a population of roughly 57,000 people. But you'll notice a big increase in animal control officers in 2008. Well, if you remember back in 2004, the city combined animal control and code enforcement. So that's why you have the increase in 2008. But also what came about was the recession as well. So you notice that the numbers are starting to decrease. So at this current point, we're staffed with 12 officers. And as you can see, there's a large difference in population now. So what I'm going to do is Officer Lovett is gonna come here and give you some more information about top enforcement issues.
All right. My name is Richard Lovett. I'm one of the two code compliance supervisors for the city of Deltona. I started off with animal control back in 2000. I was one of the original 2 officers that we had. You can see here, these are some of the cases that we had in the last 2 years in 2019 and 2020. You can see animals ranks the number of is our 3rd highest calls that we get. Between 2019, 2020, our calls went down a little bit. We figured that's because of COVID. A lot more people were home, a lot less animals running loose because of that. Some of our top animal control issues that we see, and this is the ones that we deal with every day: animal at large, nuisance animals. And nuisance animals get everything from snakes, gators, chickens, geese, anything else like that. Animal cruelty case, found animals, prohibited animals, deceased, and wellness checks. So, how does responsive city government provide animal control service benefit of the entire community? We are proactive and reactive, which means we get the calls in through our department. We get them in through our main number, which is 386-878-8701. And when you call that number, you'll speak to Patty. And Patty will be up here. She's one of our presenters later. We also have an app that you can download on your phone. If you have a Samsung or an iPhone, you can download the app. It's Deltona My 311. You can put in all the information into that. It'll automatically send it to the computers. They'll get it to there, and they'll send us the information out in the field. So everything is live out in the field. We do have a website, or deltonafl.gov. We have a direct email, acontrol@deltonafl.gov, that goes straight to the animal control desk for them to get. We do a Facebook page for our lost animals. So as we get an animal out on the road, we take the picture of it, we put it straight up on our lost page and try and connect it back to the owner as quick as we can. And we also take walk-ins at City Hall. So, some of the calls that we deal with, we have aggressive animals, of course dog bites, dogs still out there, still active. That's our main goal, is to get out there and get that dog controlled of as quick as possible for the safety of everybody. Nuisance animals, we do handle a lot of venomous snakes. We do alligators if they're over 4 feet. We call FWC anything under 4 feet. We go ahead and relocate it. But venomous snakes, we take them to a serpentarium up in DeLand. If they're non-poisonous, we leave them out there. They're good to have around. And animal cruelty calls. These can vary into so much, and these can take a lot of time, or they can be a real short case. Depends on what we find when we get out there. So our process for an animal call is we get the complaint's sent out to the officer. If he gets out there, he doesn't find anything, he closes the case, violation's done. If he does find something, if we impound it, we can't find an owner, it's impounded, it's taken to Humane Society. That can also go to this way. We make contact with the owner. We return the animal back to the owner. We tell the owner this is what you have to get now to comply with City of Deltona ordinances. So they can be returned to owner with no follow-up. Let's just say it just got loose, it's an accident, they have everything for it. Then that animal's just returned, there's no follow-up. If we need to do a follow-up, we'll do a follow-up. We'll give them the time to correct it. They'll either correct it. If it's not corrected, then it'll go to either a citation or it'll go to the special magistrate. So what we say is we're proactive and reactive. So you always have the officers out in the field. The officers are assigned to zones, and they work those zones. We have 2 shifts that work 7 days a week. So we're out there every day. So in some of the prohibited animals that we have monkeys. We do have some in the city. They're smaller ones. We do know where they are. We get a list from FWC that tells us what the people have and what they're allowed to have. Deceased animals. We do get deceased animals. If we do get a deceased animal, the officer will go out there. They will scan it. If there's no chip and no tag on it, we'll go ahead and call for that animal to be picked up. If there is some information on there, we'll try and get it back to the owner the best we can. All right? And with this, I'll be turning this over to Angela Meyer.
Hello, my name is Angela Meyer. I am with the City of Deltona since 2002, and I'm currently Administrative Supervisor for Building Enforcement Services, and also the hearing clerk for the Special Magistrate. Emergency services we have emergency services 24/7. Not emergency services, regular services, and emergency only between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. When it comes to dog bites, when it injured animals, when we are there to help other agencies like fire and police, and for aggressive animals. But our officers are there every day from 7 to 7. They are answering calls. Animal cases also have the same procedure as regular court cases, and when it's a nuisance, they also go through the special magistrate. The process is the same, and other ways that we address animal issues is through civil citation, what is usually goes mostly for animals at large, and also for animal cruelty and dog fights. In everything, our officers are involved when it comes to emergency, and all the cases that we go through, in all of them, we always practice the highest level of service. And continuing, we have a TNR program and feral cat issues with Ms. Betty Mullins.
Thank you, Angela. Hi, my name's Patty Mullins. I'm the voice you hear when you call 386-878-8701 for animal control. I'd like to tell you that I'm the newest member of this panel. I've only been with the city for a little more than 2 years, but I also bug them to no end. There's so much experience here with this panel. They've been here for such a long time, and we will do everything that we can to resolve any issues you have with animal control or with animals in general to the best of our ability. So the first thing I'd like to say is regarding feral cat issues. Let me bring up the slide. We've had this feral cat population that has impacted the citizens of Deltona for years. The whole purpose of this town hall meeting is to project the image to you and to get your feedback about establishing the proper balance between owner rights as well as the rights of the pet owners, meaning homeowners in the city as well as the pet owners in Deltona. So how do we as a community address this by using national best practice standards? I'm sure you've heard that term tossed around a little bit, best practice standards, and what we're looking at is we're trying to evaluate and implement the best practices that have been shown to work in other municipalities across the nation. So we've invested in the TNR program for several years, and it is managed by volunteers. The goal of TNR is to stabilize the feral cat population. City monies fund veterinary services provided under authorized contracts. Your tax dollars do not go to individual volunteers of the program. So we're currently in the process of a comprehensive audit of the TNR program. We recognize that there are many sides to the issue and that people who take a position are equally passionate. All sides must be weighed, and a determination will be made based on facts. So moving forward, I'd like to talk a little bit about rules and ordinances. Our animal control officers do not get to decide how they perform their duties. They follow the lawful direction of their managers, city ordinances, state statutes, city policies, and procedures. Pet owners are required to obtain pet licenses for all dogs and cat in the city. Valid vaccinations are required for all licenses. And the way you can obtain that is by presenting a valid rabies certificate. Once you do that, we can issue an animal tag for your pet. City ordinance also requires pet owners to spay and neuter dogs and cats that are older than 6 months. So with that, I would like to turn it back to Richard Lovett.
Okay, so I'm going to take us into what we're looking at into the future. So, in looking into the future, you always have to look at the past to see where we started from to where we need to get to. And when we say we got TNR by the numbers, so being one of the animal control officers and being out in the field and doing this for a long time, I can tell you there's been a large difference. And I can tell you every day, our saying was is you had 10 cats on the truck by 10 a.m. That was every day. We were constantly filling up the humane societies, overburdening them with the amount of cats that were going in. The thing about it is, it never slowed down. So we weren't making a dent in the population by just picking them up and taking them to humane societies. So that's when we started looking at the TNR program. This is a program that we think will work better. Now, this is not a city of Deltona idea. It's not a Volusia County idea. It's not a Florida. It's not national. It's just international. This is something that's going on everywhere. So it's not just an idea that we're taking and going, oh, well, you know, maybe this might work. There's studies that show that it will work. So, and how we're looking at this, and we start looking at the amount of money the city was spending in Humane Society bills every year was constantly going up. Last year we got our bill down to under $30,000, and that took a large burden off the Humane Societies and make them be able to get more cats and more animals out there without having to put them down. So, TNR benefits, so, and I'm taking this and I'll explain this, that every cat related takes an officer out of the truck for an average of 2 hours. So if an officer picks up a cat, we have to make a run. We have to make a run to Daytona Beach. That's a half-hour drive there, it's a half-hour drive back. And then we have to wait in line. If we're the fourth truck in line, we don't get to skip ahead of everybody else because everybody else wants their officers back. We have to wait for them to finish processing every other city before we get back. It can be a long process. We can be over there for hours. So by going to the TNR benefit and having to do that, there was days where it was just cats. We cut our transportation down. We don't go to humane societies as much. We're getting more animals back with scanners on the truck and with the TNR program. We've been able to save a lot of time and a lot of expense of driving the truck back and forth to Daytona every single day. So the future of animal control, and that's why I say is we're looking at the national policies for TNR. What's the best things to do? How's the best thing to do it? Now, we're looking at not only the national, but when you look at national, yes, it might work for another city, but what do our residents need? And that's why we brought these and we started doing these, because we need to know what our citizens are wanting. That way we can take what's best practices, put it into what this city wants, and put everything together. Now, we have switched. We start using social media. All of our trucks, all of our officers have iPhones on them now. So as soon as they pick up an animal, they take a picture of it. It goes straight on the our lost animal page. I can tell you the other day, it worked. Within 2 hours, we got a dog back to its owner. So it is working. We're getting animals back reunited quicker with their owners. Plus, we're listening to the several community advocates. We're taking their information. They'll provide us stuff. We're looking at it, and we're trying to implement what they're giving to us because we're getting a lot of good information from the public. And we can encourage all that. So by doing that, we're going to evaluate the neighborhood strengths and challenges. And that's what this is. This is bringing y'all out here to talk about what your challenges are, what we can do to help you. What do you need? So we're going to take that and then we're going to put it into best practices for what's best for the citizens of Deltona. And that way we can take advantage of everything that we have. So, like you said, and Mark said back in 2004, we went to combining code compliance, solid waste, and animal control together. Now, and then when we talked about this, and you can see there's a lot of other cities that have started to go to this, and this is the best practice, it's starting to go around, it's starting to do more, is being an animal control officer back when I was in the field, I'd be at the Humane Society, I'd get a call for aggressive animal, I'm sorry, I can't leave, I'm stuck. It might be 2 hours before I get back. That's not the kind of service we want to give to our citizens. So that was the idea. If we combine it, we can put more trucks out on the road, we can have quicker response times, and we can get there quicker. So we have done that, and it has been a good service for us. We're able to respond to calls a lot quicker. We're trying to find new ways to be even faster, to be able to give better service than what we're giving now. So, and we do operate 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. And once we go off call, the officer, there's always an officer on call for emergencies 365 days a year. So, and this is the current staffing that we have out in the field. Like we said, all of our officers are animal control certified. 4 of them have more than animal control certifications that are needed, and 1 of them is a national certified animal cruelty investigator. All right, and with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. O'Grader for questions.
Could have given a little bit. Yeah, wake up. A couple of you were sleeping. So this is the point where we'll open it up for questions. I want to start out, though, I want to just acknowledge the people up here, the employees up here, the years of experience. I mean, you heard 19 years, 20 years, 18 years, and then we have our newbie, but the passion as well, and that's what I want to bring to you, is the passion of these officers up here that are doing the animal control work out on the street, or Patty, who's answering the phone and actually helping the citizens out by going on Facebook and doing everything we can to get the resident reunited with its lost animal, or whatever we need to do, calling Halifax or wherever these lost animals may be taken to. So at this point, I'd like to open it up to any questions that anybody may have. I ask that you just stand up and then ask your question, because I don't see a microphone. Rocco, the microphone? Okay. So do I have any questions? Okay. So, this is our 5th one.
I'll start.
I know you,
know I
always
always
do.
have some. I give everybody else a chance.
You know what, I just want to say,
Okay.
you do a great job. You ask very good questions.
Thank you.
And we learn, everybody learns every time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to ask this one again because I know they had technical difficulties the other night and it didn't make it to the recording. And it's more to kind of debunk some rumors on social media, but does animal control euthanize dogs or cats because they're astray?
Richard?
Okay. The city of Deltona does not euthanize any animals. The animals, if any are sick or injured, if they're severely injured, we'll take them straight to a vet and get them vet service that they need. And if that's what the vet decides is what's best, then that's what they'll do.
Right.
But all of our animals get taken to Humane Society, and that's what we have a contract with. We're more or less a transportation service to them, and that's it.
Right. I mean, I don't even think you would have the necessary
We,
supplies to even perform that task.
we do not keep the supplies because it's a level 3 narcotic.
Right.
And so with all that, with all the regulations, you would have to have a vet on service,
Okay.
and we do not, so that's why we do not have that
Okay.
service.
Okay. And then also, I brought it up at the first meeting, and I know you said you were gonna try to look into it, but have you been able to determine even kind of ballpark how many mandatory spay neuters have been enforced since last year?
I knew you asked that, and we did. We found
Okay.
out. So the question was, we have a policy that you'll have your dogs or you'll have your pets registered, spayed or neutered, rabies shots and all that when you come in here. How many times have we been called to that? So it is complaint driven, or when our officers are out there, as part of their routine investigation, they will check with the resident. Hey, does the dog, or cat have its shots, is it spayed or neutered, and we go from there. But so I think the number was, and I'm gonna just try to recall, last year, maybe 8 of those were like at an apartment complex or something of that sort, and then 12 were on, 8 were self-initiated, the other 12 were complaint-driven. So it's a small number, 20, but still, our officers are trained in that when they go out there.
Yeah, I don't expect you to be just out patrolling and, you know,
Right,
kind of
right.
checking with under, you know,
Pulling
the
cats and
tail.
dogs over,
Yeah,
asking them
but,
to see their
you know,
papers.
if you're already on a call for something else and, you know, checking all those
Yes.
things, you know, the vaccinations.
It's part of their
things like that.
routine, though.
Okay.
Last year was the round number of 20.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, yes. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm a resident of Deltona. I am an animal control officer for a different county. I want to know if
You know we're hiring.
I know.
Okay.
You'll see me in there.
Okay.
So I'm asking, you guys have 3 divisions? Code enforcement, animal control?
And solid waste.
Solid waste.
Which takes the garbage in the right of way.
Okay. So do you guys plan to have a spay and neuter office in the city of Deltona?
So what we do is we partner with the county. Adam Leith, I believe, is that gentleman that we partner with. So we are, and that's a great question, because we've had it a couple times, and we've actually had residents send us flyers that are going on in other cities. So we've actually reached out to them, and we're working on having them here, and having, I think, once a year we do have a program. But 95,000 residents, the biggest city of Volusia County, we need to bring it over more, because it's our tax dollars that are paying for that. So yeah, we're starting that, and that's part of the whole big program, and working with TNR on how we can be better on best practices, so.
Okay.
Go ahead, Richard.
And I'll add to that, there is a new low-cost spay neuter that's open locally,
Okay.
and we'll be getting that information out.
I was
We'll
gonna
be putting
say,
that out on our website and stuff.
Is that the
Yeah.
very?
so everything
Yes.
is available on the website?
Yeah, so we reached out to them to get some information. We're waiting to get their cost and everything else, because we want to give all that to the public at one time, so that way they know where to go and how much it's gonna be.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, good. Commissioner Ramos, I'll turn it back over to you.
Can I just, sorry.
Oh, yes.
It's not so much a question, but I know it's something that's been on my mind because of the other meetings, and it's got to do with TNR. And I don't actively volunteer with TNR. I don't have the wherewithal that they do to do what they do, but I do support it wholeheartedly, because I'm an animal advocate. It's a humane way of doing it. It's more effective, it's more cost effective for the city. But I understand people that aren't animal lovers like me, don't necessarily support it wholeheartedly. But the reality kind of in the shelter world, locally and across the country and even around the world, is it's our best option at this point. A few years ago, Maddie's Fund, they have a shelter medicine practice or program at UF Health. They released the best practices playbook, and Halifax really jumped on board with all of that. And the key is reducing intakes, reducing the time the animals are at the shelter, and helping residents keep their pets in their home to begin with. And they've also worked really, really hard at reducing their euthanasia rates. So even if the city were to say, let's go back to trapping and euthanizing, we're not gonna find a shelter or a local private vet that's gonna get on board with that.
So just let me jump in there. The city of Deltona has embraced
Yes.
the TNR program. We are in the process now of restructuring the program to make it more manageable, more efficient. And there's some best practices that we're looking at. So we're working with the current TNR program. And I think you'll see a rebranding coming out, the best practices you talked about, because there needs to be some changes in the city. Our fault. We need to take more ownership. And so we're owning that. And with all the best practices out there, we feel good about going forward, because you're right. The old way is not the way, and the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of my point is, as much of an impact as the volunteers have had on the
Mhm.
population.
Yes.
If you want to really maximize the success, it has to have community support and it has to have the support of the city.
Yes.
You know, with education, resources,
Yep.
and all that. That's all I want to say.
So I believe, and I'll end on this, so I believe the community support's there, the volunteers are fabulous, the third part was missing, and I think the third part is here now. The city's gonna step up.
So again, I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight, but I also want to highlight, we do have our mayor has walked in, so our mayor is here. And we also have Ron Paradise from the planning department. Again, thank you for the opportunity. Real quickly, we have an event coming out here this weekend out here, Your Previously Owned Treasures. Starts at 8 a.m. here at West Crowell. Also, don't forget the celebration, 4th of July weekend celebration that we're having in Dewey Booster. So we're excited about a lot of great things that are happening. And I think through these workshops or that we have these community forums is really getting us to conversate, which I think is the important things to each other. And appreciate everything you're doing and that the team is doing so that we can make sure we get the accurate information out there that needs to do. So again, thank you so much for your opportunity.
Thank you.